The timeline bleeds. That is the only way those who run fast enough can perceive reality. It is not merely the cracks in the crimson sky of the Great Crisis, but the throbbing pangs in every muscle fiber, every nerve cell of those who bear the name Flash. Barry Allen stood before the antimatter cannon of the Anti-Monitor. No way back, no backup plan, only speed and sacrifice. He looked up at the cannon barrel glowing with a deadly light, a light that promised to obliterate every remaining universe. "My name is Barry Allen," he whispered, his voice drowned in the roar of energy. "I am the Flash. If I fail to stop this cannon from firing, countless lives will end." But just as he coiled his legs, preparing for the final run, a crimson vortex swept across space, hurtling straight into him like a bullet that broke every law of physics. The impact was strong enough to knock the fastest man alive off his trajectory. Barry rolled across the cold metallic surface, and when he looked up, he saw a young man with tousled brown hair and eyes brimming with panic. "I will not let you do that," the young man yelled, his voice trembling. Barry did not know who he was. In this moment, he had never had a grandson. He had never witnessed a future where the Allen family continued to thrive. He only saw a lost child. "Son, I do not know who you are," Barry said, trying to keep his voice as calm as possible amidst the cataclysm of the universe. "But I must do this. I am a hero," Bart Allen, or rather Impulse, retorted. "Heroes fix things." He rushed at him again, not to fight, but to embrace him tightly, trying to bind the feet destined to dissolve into nothingness. Billions of miles beyond that reality, or perhaps just one layer of the time membrane away, the Dark Lord Darkseid was watching. His throne sat in the heart of the absolute universe, where darkness was matter and silence was the only sound. He did not blink. On the cosmic screen before him, the image of two bolts of lightning, red and yellow, struggling against each other appeared with stark clarity. "My lord," a member of the Legion knelt, his voice filled with anxiety. "If Impulse disrupts this moment, your entire grand design will collapse." The corner of Darkseid's mouth twitched slightly. It was not a smile, but a contraction of the muscles on his stone-like face, denoting contempt. "Patience," he growled. "The Allen boy wants to save his grandfather." Saturn Girl, still bound within Darkseid's psychic aura, spoke up. "If you let the Anti-Monitor fire that cannon, all worlds will be annihilated. No, foolish child." Darkseid rose. His colossal form overshadowed the surrounding space. "Impulse will save his grandfather by taking his place. He will sacrifice himself." Darkseid's eyes blazed with two beams of crimson fire, the Omega fire that could annihilate everything, except for one thing, the Speed Force. Precisely because he could not use power to crush that ultimate energy of motion, he needed this scheme. The boy is the living embodiment of the Speed Force. When he dies, the Speed Force will die with him, and the Omega Speed will reign over my new universe. It will be the nervous system of all that was, is, and ever will be in my name. He stretched out his hand, fingers like steel talons piercing through the screen, touching the chaotic mind of Bart Allen in the past. "Save him," Darkseid whispered, a sound like metal scraping against skullbone. "You do not have to let him go. Be the hero you have always prided yourself on being." Inside the core of the antimatter cannon, Bart shuddered. He heard that voice, but his mind interpreted it as his own thought. "Let me take your place." Bart screamed at Barry. "I am faster than you. I can do this without dying. For your own good, get out of here right now." Barry roared, shoving the boy away. The strength of a man ready to die was always more fearsome than any superpower. But Bart did not give up. "I will not let you go. It does not have to end like this." He lunged forward, hugging Barry tightly once more, and in that moment, his speed truly surpassed. He was pushing Barry out of the trajectory of fate. In Darkseid's arena, his minions cheered. Truly magnificent. "You have accounted for every possibility. Everything serves you. All hail Darkseid." But then a flash of silver lightning bolted into the scene. It was Wally West. He had run through the ruins of the timeline, past the traps of the Legion, to arrive at precisely this spot. Wally did not charge at Bart, but hurled himself straight into the army of Darkseid. "My name is Wally West," he declared, standing as a shield between the darkness and his relatives. "And I am about to get beaten to a pulp, but I need to stop Darkseid from stopping Impulse from stopping Barry before Barry stops the antimatter cannon." He smirked, a wry smile. "Too many stops, right?" He lunged at Saturn Girl first, taking her down in a split second before she could manipulate anyone's mind. But when Wally turned to attack Darkseid, the Dark Lord merely flicked his hand. An invisible wall of Omega energy slammed directly into Wally's face, sending him flying. "Kill West," Darkseid ordered indifferently, as if telling a servant to take out the trash. "Eliminate him now." Meanwhile, at another intersection of time, another speedster was on a desperate journey. Max Mercury, also known as Whip Whirlwind, could feel every fiber of the time stream splintering beneath his feet. He had just broken free from Saturn Girl's mind control, was fleeing the pursuit of the Legion, and carried a mission in his mind. Wally had told him about someone, the only person in the history of the universe immune to Omega energy, and Max had to find that person. His destination was a strange mountain, looking like a ruined fortress from the future, Challenger Mountain. When Max stopped, his lungs burning from running through the shards of eras, he saw a large, powerfully built man, and beside him, a giant machine. "Too late for what, Mr. Lickety-Split?" the man said, his voice deep and warm but full of weariness. It was Rocky Davis. Max exhaled in relief. "You are alive. You are still here." He knew all about the challengers of the unknown. They were explorers, men who had survived countless brushes with death. But precisely because they bore too many scars of the Reaper, Rocky's teammates had been corrupted by Omega energy the moment Darkseid rose. Omega energy was the embodiment of death, and those who had lived on borrowed time against death too many times could not resist its temptation. Rocky was the exception. He had stayed at the watchtower, away from the anomaly points, and thus kept his mind pure. "My friend Wally says that the more we break and change what has happened, the more it becomes a mess," Max said, his voice full of worry. "But my friend Bart believes that if we have the power, we should fix every mistake." "I do not know who is right." Rocky looked down at the fires in the distance, where history was dying piece by piece. "Me neither, my friend. But I just watched my home be destroyed once again. And I know that if we can stop evil, we must." The giant machine, Ultivac, the sentient robot created by June, emitted a resonant hum. It agreed as well. Back on the surface of Apocalypse, Wally West was running. He ran not to attack, but to stall for time, to stretch Darkseid's attention. The surface of Apocalypse is excessively beautiful, Wally thought to himself as he dodged the Omega beams. But I am still faster. However, Darkseid had run out of patience. When a Legion member charged forward and failed to catch Wally, Darkseid coldly extended his hand. The Omega aura engulfed the failure. "You have failed," Darkseid pronounced. "You did not run fast enough. Now you will burn forever in the Omega Force." He absorbed his subordinate without a shred of hesitation, then turned to Wally. "You must be very proud of Bart Allen," he said. And in that moment, Wally froze. The smugness in Darkseid's voice made his heart clench. He waved his hand, conjuring a spatial screen showing Bart struggling with Barry inside the cannon core. "Watch," Darkseid commanded. "Watch the boy play hero." Wally saw the scene. He saw Bart, the grandson of Barry Allen, placing himself into his grandfather's position, and he knew he had to act, even if it was impossible. He touched the Legion flight ring he had just seized. "This is very likely suicide," he told himself. But Bart would not think for even a second. He bolted, across the cosmic void, heading straight for the antimatter cannon of the Anti-Monitor. But just as Wally departed, Max Mercury, Rocky Davis, and Ultivac appeared. They came to hold off the Legion. Saturn Girl crawled up, her eyes glowing as she targeted Max. She wanted to reclaim control of the fastest runner, but Ultivac stood in her way. Metal fists hammered down like sledgehammers, forcing Saturn Girl to focus on defense. "Your mental power is very strong," Ultivac boomed, "but I have no mind for you to manipulate." "Hey, do not sell yourself short like that," Rocky yelled while fighting, trying to protect Max. "You do have a mind, but it was a diversion." When they realized it, Darkseid had vanished. "Where did he go?" Max shouted, scanning around. Rocky's face went pale. "Your friend on that ship! Activate the boom tube!" "He is heading for them." On the antimatter ship, Wally had just arrived in time. He hurtled between Barry and Bart. "Stop! I have tried this exact same thing. It will not work!" Wally yelled at Bart's face, trying to shake him. Wally had once tried to save Barry, had once tried to change this iconic moment, and he had failed, but Bart was in a state of ultimate desperation. "Sorry, Grandpa," he whispered, and in a split second he threw a punch at Barry, a punch with the velocity of love and rebellion. "Wally, I will not stand by and watch bad things happen anymore," Bart declared. "I am the Speed Force. I can do this. We can do this." And then darkness descended. Darkseid appeared right among them, colossal and absolute. His hand seized Wally West by the neck, lifting him up. He is right, Darkseid growled at Wally. You let Barry Allen die. You are no hero. Wally West is just a coward, an imposter, a fraud. Those words were like daggers stabbing into Wally's soul. That was his deepest fear, spoken from the mouth of the Dark Lord. But just as all hope seemed to flicker out, a glimmer of golden light appeared. Jay Garrick, the first Flash. Though he had fallen in the DCKO tournament, though he only existed as a statue in reality, he still found a way to reach out. Jay's voice echoed in Bart's mind, warm like sunlight. Bart, you are the Speed Force. You are the thread that binds all of us together. But Grandpa Jay, be what you were born to be. Jay cut him off. Then his spirit, a brilliant streak of golden light, hurtled straight into Darkseid's face. It was not a physical punch, but the resistance of the very legacy Darkseid wanted to annihilate. The impact was strong enough to make Darkseid loosen his grip, and Wally dropped. Without a second of hesitation, Wally West lunged forward, grabbing Bart Allen and pulling him out of the death run. No, Wally screamed, his voice choked with tears. You cannot. Why? Bart struggled, in ultimate agony. Why does he have to die? Wally held him tight, forcing him to look straight at the harshest truth of a hero: sacrifice. Because that is his choice, Bart. That is what makes a hero. We will see him again. He will come back to us. We fight. We endure. We die. We live again. We leave. We return. That is our sacred cycle, forever, in every age. And in that very moment, Barry Allen began to do what destiny had ordained. He ran, faster than ever before, faster than death itself. His body dissolved into particles of pure light, merging into the flow of the Speed Force. The most tragic and iconic moment of the DC universe unfolded, impossible to be altered. Do not look, Bart, Wally whispered, covering the boy's eyes. But Bart looked. He looked with the eyes of the Speed Force. Wally, in the Speed Force. I see him. Bart closed his eyes, and his soul reached out to where Barry was swimming in an infinite sea of energy. Barry Allen was floating, disoriented. Wait, where is this? He asked. Bart appeared before him, no longer an impulsive child, but a grandson, brimming with reverence. The Speed Force, Barry Allen. You did it. You saved all of us. He smiled, even though tears were flowing in reality. I am very proud of you, Grandpa. I am proud to be an Allen. That was the crux of the truth Mark Waid had nurtured for 32 years, ever since he created the Speed Force. They did not just run with it. They were a part of it. They were different manifestations of the same divine source of energy. Outside, the antimatter core began to explode. We have to get out of here, Wally yelled. But the timeline was too fragile. They could not jump backward into the future. At that moment, Ultivac spoke up. I can trace the Omega energy points in the timeline. They are constants. Take us to the strongest Omega energy source you detect, Wally ordered. It did not take long to find it. That energy source was the heart of Apocalypse, the very center of the DCKO tournament. They would jump straight into the lion's den. Jay Garrick, his spirit having fulfilled its mission, smiled in farewell. I must return to my own era. But if all goes well, I will see you in the future. As the time portal opened, Wally looked at Bart. The timeline behind them collapsed, but the future ahead was an even more ferocious battle. Here we are, Bart, the decisive moment. Then what are we waiting for, Wally? Bart's eyes had dried, replaced by a flame of determination. Wally West grinned, the grin of a true Flash in the midst of the apocalypse. I will race you there. And they launched forward. 2 bolts of lightning, one deep crimson, one bright yellow, hurtled into the vortex of time, carrying the last hope straight to the battlefield of DCKO. Time had been restored. The past remained intact with its glorious scars. But the battle for the future had just begun. If you found this story interesting and want us to explore more superpowered characters, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you again in the next Cosmic Story. Peace out.